This is one of the fragments that came through the roof of the museum. I'm covered in blood. I was all dirty. And when we got out, I didn't even feel anything. Let's see what interesting, unique planes are here. Barbarians. These Russians are barbarians. This plane is seriously damaged.
For centuries, Russia has denied the identity of the Ukrainian people. Therefore, from the first days of the war, it has been trying to destroy our cultural and historical heritage, museums, churches, theaters, architectural structures, and the very memory of the existence of Ukrainians and Ukraine. In Kharkiv, in the Kharkiv region alone, our 130 architectural monuments have been damaged in the last year and a half of war.
I have a feeling that they are destroying the whole of Ukraine. There is no need for this and no military expediency. But they want to do it. When they saw that Kharkiv is a Ukrainian city and the mood here is pro-Ukrainian, Ukrainians will defend it to the death, to victory. They planned to capture it, thinking that they would be met with flowers and bread and salt. When they saw that this was not going to happen, they just started destroying everything: infrastructure, people, history.
This is an aviation museum. It is located on the territory of Kharkiv Aircraft Plant. From the first day of the active phase of the war, the plant's territory was subjected to continuous shelling.
In the first months of the war, Grad rockets were reaching the city. And there were almost actual battles on the periphery of Kharkiv. Anti-aircraft artillery was reaching the city from near Kharkiv. Shells and mines were also flying into the plant's territory. These are elements from Grad missiles that were used to shell Kharkiv and the plant. These are some of the latest items to join the Aviation Museum's collection. This is the remains of the aircraft, i.e. fragments of the Su-34 cockpit, which was shot down over Kharkiv in March 2022, and parts of the aircraft fell on the plant's territory. VK0 for this is one of the fragments that came to the museum through the roof, breaking it. Imagine that thing. It looks like it came from a FAB 500. Several of these huge bombs fell on the territory of the plant. When we restore the museum and it starts working, we will create a separate exposition and record all the crimes committed by the Russian Federation on the territory of Kharkiv.
The Aviation Museum in Kharkiv has existed since 1969. It has a collection of 5,000 exhibits and consists of 3 locations: an indoor museum exhibition, an open-air area for decommissioned aircraft, and architectural landmark, the Directorate Building. Before the war, about 3,000 people visited the museum annually.
It acted as an educational center and a center for patriotic education. Although the peak of the plant's glory was during the Soviet period, we have always said that it is a part of Ukrainian history and part of world history.
During the shelling of the aircraft plant with rockets and bombs, the museum building was damaged. Walls, ceiling, windows, and its greatest value, namely priceless aircraft models. They are the pride and treasure of any aviation museum.
Everything was lying on the floor between pieces of glass. There was a big blast wave coming from those windows. Everything was smashed here too. The planes and all the models that were standing here along the window were damaged. These two planes standing in the corner were not hit and, fortunately, they are intact. And these are damaged. Each of these models costs thousands of hryvnias even now. The tail section was damaged here. You see, this AN-74TK aircraft had one engine damaged. It was destroyed by a blast wave, but this is an exact scaled replica of this aircraft. It is unique in that it had the engines above the wings and was very convenient for operation in polar conditions, in deserts, i.e. where it was difficult for other aircraft to operate. It is a unique aircraft. It always suffers the most. It is the lightest. Moreover, it was standing here. The blast wave was oncoming. There is no cabin. The cabin needs to be rebuilt. It needs to be completely rebuilt. Where did it come from? It's probably from the same model. No. Wait. It's from 74. Thank God, we found it. The damage here is as follows. The keel is broken off, we'll have to glue it back on. There is no point in making something new. You need to build up if you have pieces. You have to put them on the cleats like this.
Viktor Shekin is an aircraft modeling expert. Together with his colleagues, he inspects damaged aircraft models. He is a man who knows firsthand how painstaking, time-consuming, and expensive the process of creating them is, and he cannot contain his emotions.
Barbarians. These Russians are barbarians. This plane is seriously damaged. Shock wave went straight through the windows. The wing was blown off when the wave came from here. Everything can be restored, but it is a very difficult process.
The museum's exposition includes this observation deck. It houses large, original, but now decommissioned aircraft that were previously produced at Kharkiv Aviation Plant. The most famous of them are the Tu-134 and Tu-104.
This is the famous Tu-104. This was the first jet aircraft that was even used to train the first cosmonauts, because it flew to high altitudes and created a vacuum in it. They say that Yuri Gagarin himself trained on this aircraft. We can see that one aircraft was damaged. A piece of shrapnel hit part of the tail. It was hit and damaged during the shelling of the plant's territory.
But the so-called Red House, an architectural historical monument of the early 20th century, suffered the greatest damage.
During the Second World War, this building survived the bombing by German aircraft, when the plant was also shelled, and not a single bomb hit it. However, the Russian aggressors tried to make sure that this building, which has no strategic importance, was hit by one of the FAB 500 aircraft bombs.
On 1st March 2022 at 10 am, a Russian aircraft dropped 2 such bombs near the building of the directorate. At the time of the strike, there were people inside: the director of the plant, Alexander Krivokony, and power engineer Gennady Stryukov.
I went in and checked the wiring completely. The director said, "Let's check the room, see what condition it's in. Let's completely disconnect everything so that there is no short circuit." Alexander Ryhorovich went to the second floor, and I inspected all the rooms. There was an explosion. I regained consciousness when I was already under the brick debris. And that was it. I blacked out. Then Alexander Ryhorovich started digging me out. He kept asking me, "Gina, are you alive?" I said, "Yes, I'm alive." He dug me up. I came out covered in blood. I left DNA everywhere. My eyebrow is missing, it's stitched up. My head was stitched up, too. My ribs were broken, but I didn't feel any pain. The very nature of the damage suggests that the bomb was very powerful. Have you seen what remains of the FAB 500-foot hit? This is another crime of the Russian Federation that has been documented and will be investigated as part of a criminal case. Possibly by the International Criminal Court.
After this air raid, the architectural monument remained only as a museum exhibit.
The building is very damaged. I don't know if it can be restored, but obviously, as a historical monument, it needs to be restored. Restoration? If you set out to do it, it can be restored. It is possible. It is difficult, of course. Everything is destroyed. But I think it is possible. I think that Russia will be cursed for a long time to come. And it is unlikely that our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will have a normal attitude towards this nation. Towards the Putin regime. Because they are destroying not only Ukraine, not only our people, but they are destroying civilization.